Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Deadlands frontwoman Kasey Karlsen to the podcast. Deadlands Spinefarm Records debut EP 7 is out this Friday. Kasey talks about her brother's influence on her musical inspiration, starting her YouTube channel, the desire to be in a band and not just a content creator, tackling a concept for the band's debut, and more. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of As the Story Grows. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, thanks so much for listening. Welcome. You can find links in our show notes or at asthestorygrows.com for our mailing list, our Discord server, and our Patreon page, where $1 a month gets you early access to every episode. And make sure you never miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Enjoy today's conversation with Kasey Karlsen from Deadlands. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Glad to talk to you. I see you're in New York. Is that where you are? Long Island?
I am. Yep. Long Island, New York. Born and raised.
Nice. What was growing up like?
Oh, dude. I mean, just typical. Like I wasn't into metal at all. And I just kind of I loved pop music. It was like the cookie cutter regular growing up, you know? Yeah. Nothing special. I hated heavy music. I guess there's a special thing there, but
yeah. Were you like a theater kid, a choir kid?
It's funny you say that. So when I was in like third grade, I was in like the chorus, you know, like we would go before school and have like the chorus rehearsals. And then I was also in the musical theater club. But then like as I got older, I just stopped caring just because I didn't like the music. Like if I had liked the music, then I totally would have kept up with it. But I was just like, nah, it's just not for me. And, you know, I had loved theater when I was younger, and I did do a couple plays like outside of school as well. But as soon as I found like metal and the fact that there are like theatrical metal bands, like that changed everything for me. Yeah.
Well, it's like my daughter is 10, and so she's in chorus and choir, and like she loves Taylor Swift and pop music and shit. But it's we were able to connect on like symphonic metal because it's like she just likes the big operatic vocals, and it's like, what about this? And she's like, yeah, that's totally down. And I'm like, there, boom, there's our
it's our thing. Honestly, you just gave me an idea to introduce that to my boyfriend's brother, because he is into very classical music, and he loves like the big orchestral stuff. And I'm like, there's so many things that he could get into. Like, I bet you if I showed him Gojira, he'd be like, oh my God, they're insane. Yeah. I'm going to try it. Thank
you. Well, if music wasn't your like thing, or metal wasn't your thing, like what were you doing in high school? Like what was your track before it got, pivoted?
Yeah. I mean, high school, I definitely did get more into it. Like I think when I was 13, it really started to flip for me. But before I was into metal, like video games were my thing. Like I'm wearing gaming headphones right now, and I still play games to this day. Actually, like behind this bookshelf that I have a Borderlands poster, which is one of my favorite games ever. And at the time, I was super into Call of Duty and zombies, and I always loved horror. Like I have a horror poster up here. You could see my little Jason, my little Frankenstein. And even just like the coffins here, like shout out to the Golden Sickle. They're amazing. But I always loved like the dark aesthetic with skulls and roses and everything like that. but I just didn't understand metal screaming. Because as most people do, they're always like, oh, like the instrumental's really cool, but like I don't care for the vocals. And I had some roots of like 3 Days Grace and just some like dad rock that my dad would listen to. Like Nickelback I thought was pretty cool, but nothing close to what I'm into now, of course. But video games were really the catalyst for it, and horror. Just meshing those two worlds together was what really got me to like metal.
Yeah. What were the bands or albums that were kind of where it clicked and you were like, oh, I think I get this now?
Oh yeah, Avenged Sevenfold was my gateway band, like till the day I die, because they were in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and they were in Zombies. So like they had, I believe it was either Hail to the King or Shepherd of Fire. I don't remember which song it was, but they have this map on Call of Duty called Origins. I don't know if you've ever played Black Ops 2. Okay. No. So they have like a specific map, and Avenged Sevenfold collabed with Call of Duty on this game, and they pretty much like they synced up the music to this like cinematic masterpiece at the time of video gaming and zombies and robots, and like because Origins is supposed to be like this giant robots. I never played the map itself, but I just played like the actual game, and I was just watching it like because it would be happening when your game would go idle, you know, like when you don't touch it, when you're just like on your phone like just doom scrolling or whatever, and then you just heard this music in the background start playing like 10 minutes after you like took a break from the game, and I would look up and I'd like watch this video. I'd be like, oh my god, like this is epic, like this is so crazy. And at the same time I had my brother who played guitar, still plays guitar, but he was really good at guitar. He was progressively getting into heavier stuff, and I was forced to listen to it since our rooms were right next to each other. And he would get into heavier stuff and show me heavier stuff. So Avenged Sevenfold started that for me. And then Asking Alexandria came in, Attila came in. You know, I still have 2 Attila posters right here. Motionless in White was a big one for me, and Crown the Empire was my first show I ever went to.
Oh, nice. Was it because you had an older brother? Was it very quickly like introduced to going to shows and like a local scene?
I think so. Because my parents at first did not want me going. And like I had asked to go to a couple shows, but I don't know why they said no. I think they were just like, oh, the mosh pits are unsafe and you're going to get clocked. Like, you know, not really understanding what shows are all about, and like knowing that kids are not going to get wrecked. I
mean, sometimes,
I guess. But for the most part, like, especially knowing my brother's like a big dude. He's 6'3" and he's like built, and he was obsessed with the gym, which is another way of how he got into metal. So he was built and could protect me. So they finally let me go to the show, and it was like the best day of my life. It literally changed my perspective on metal even more so than I had already thought that it would.
Yeah. At what point do you decide like you want to try your hand at this? Are you trying to form bands after this, or does it just start with recording your songs and, you know, putting yourself on social media?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's both. It's whatever you want it to be, I think. When I started like really putting myself out there, I started just going to more shows, and I was like, man, like I enjoy singing just like while I'm playing video games. Like I would just sing while I'm playing Zombies or Borderlands. I would sing a lot when I was playing Borderlands, but the way I really like started to scream, I was just like, well, you know, first of all, it's really cool, but also like I can't keep up singing for fun if I screw up my voice. Like, if I am not doing this properly, I knew I could have like permanent damage. And as much as my voice wouldn't really like count for something, so I thought like I should probably take care of it because I don't want it to get rid of. So I was just watching a bunch of tutorials. I was watching David Benitez at Extreme Vocal Institute. He is fantastic. He's we just toured with them, and he's like one of my good buddies. He's great. I'm actually seeing him this weekend, which is awesome. He's on tour with A Skylit Drive, and they are, I think they're opening or they're direct support. I don't remember, but they're on tour right now. And so I'm going to get to see them. So I was watching all his stuff. Jared Dines was a big one, if you've heard of him. I used to watch all of his vocal videos. I was like obsessed. And then as soon as I thought that I had a handle, like, all right, I'm not going to blow my voice out at shows, then I was like, all right, well, maybe I can start covering this stuff.
Yeah.
And so my brother would record me. I had, I think, like 2 covers before I posted one. And then I finally posted my first cover, which was the final episode by Asking Alexandria. And it is still up on my YouTube, and it is so bad. It really is like so bad, but I leave it up there because like that's part of my journey, you know. Some people might hate their digital footprint, and maybe I will in the future, but like to me, I find it really cool that anybody who's looking to get into doing vocals or even just any skill in general, like they can look back and see the growth from 8 years ago to now.
Yeah. I think even before things ended up digitally online, I have like CDs and tapes from bands and projects I did when I was 18. And yeah, they're not good. No. But it is a timestamp of just like, that is where the journey began. And so it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's important, but it is good to reflect and like see how far you've come sometimes. So
exactly.
At what point did you notice like YouTube picking up stream or TikTok picking up stream, whichever, where you're just like, or Steam, and being like, okay, like maybe this is something.
Yeah. As for YouTube, my first cover got like 20,000 views. So I was like, that's really crazy. Like, this isn't even good. And then, you know, I posted that when I was 15 years old. So like 20,000 views at 15 years old. I was like, holy shit. Like, that's really crazy.
Right.
And then I had continued to do covers very sporadically. Like I once every 6 months, maybe 2 covers a year, if that. Yeah. And then I met my guitarist, CJ, and that changed everything for me because he was the first person that I knew that was knowledgeable about recording, producing, literally anything when it comes to like music production. And he was like the smartest guy that I knew when it came to that kind of technology. And he was also so talented. And so like we were in a band together and then it didn't work out. And then we formed Deadlands together. But in between that time period, I had always wanted to do covers, and he was just like, dude, like, I'll record your covers for you. Like, let me help you out. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I don't, and he's like, dude, say less. I literally like, you need to be doing this for yourself. Like, it's crazy that it's taken us this long to do it anyway. So I was like, all right. So the first cover that he recorded for me was Zombified by Falling in Reverse. I believe, or at least that was the first one on TikTok that actually did something. And it got like 65,000 views. And I was like, oh shit. Like, and it was like a crappy video. Again, like the production was fine. For the time, but it was one of those like landscape videos that I had just like had the black screen. Like it was so stupid. Like it looked so amateur, but it did well nonetheless. And then I was like, oh my God, like what if I did like To the Hellfire by Lorna Shore? I covered that and immediately like 800,000 views overnight. I was like, what the hell? That's insane. Like Yeah, so then it clicked with us and we were like, dude, we gotta do something about this. And then we were like, yeah, we need a band, we need to keep this going, and so we have. The rest is history.
Yeah, talk to me about the desire to do a band, because I was like, what's a comparable maybe to your situation? I was thinking about JT from Era, who started doing YouTube covers, which got him to Texas in July and then to Era. But like when he was doing YouTube covers, content creation and content creators, that wasn't a job. That was, you just put your stuff up on YouTube because it was fun. Yeah. Now you get 800,000 views on a video. You could monetize that, and like you don't ever have to grind and struggle doing the band thing, right? Like, so what was that desire to like, I want to do the band and do original music?
I mean, I really like, ever since I had the flip in high school, I guess middle school, whatever that time period was.
Yeah.
All I knew was that these words and the messages that these people were writing, like, were just speaking to me like nothing I've ever heard before. And when I would listen to Crown the Empire or Motionless in White or Asking Alexandria, or literally any of these bands that I had looked up to and seen in concert, like, I would scream the words at the top of my lungs and I would feel something. And I have been diagnosed with depression, and having like one of the things of depression is like you can feel numb like all the time. And for a long time I really did. Like I felt like I was just a shell and I was just going through the motions, and maybe it was just teenage angst or whatever, but like it sucked. Like it really did suck. And having metal, like I used to cry just because I wanted to be in a band so bad. And I had gone through some shit in previous relationships at such a young age, and to channel what I was feeling, like I would write about it. And my first song that I ever wrote front to back was Crushed. And to had seen that like come alive with CJ was just so insane. And so like I felt like life had been breathed back into me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What was the inspiration for the band name?
Dude, CJ goes, "What about Deadlands?" And we go, "Yep, that's it." It was that simple.
Nice. It's almost amazing that name hadn't been taken already.
I know. It's like really weird. Like, especially because it's such a good name. And it's like, all right, fucking bet, man.
You guys are releasing this EP with Spinefarm. How'd you get connected with them?
Oh, man. So they had reached out to us prior to us releasing House of Cards. Like, no, we hadn't even touched House of Cards yet. We just released the EP, and maybe we were working on it. I don't even know at that point. But we had gotten an email from them, and they were like, "Hey guys, like, we just want to let you know, like, we think you guys are super cool, and we'd love to have a chat someday about something." And we were like, "Yeah, okay, like." That's cool, but like we're not really looking for a label or anything. And we saw that Dayseeker was on there, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, Dayseeker's doing so well right now. At the time, Sleep Token was on their label too, so we were like, Sleep Token, like we just kept seeing like the amount of bands that were bands that we looked up to. Bullet for My Valentine, Atreyu, like there was so many bands that we had admired on this roster, and then we were like, okay, maybe we'll give them the time of day. And I had so many people telling me like, don't sign a record deal, like do not do it. And I mean, it is what it is. You could say we shouldn't have signed it, you could say we should have signed it doesn't matter, because we're doing well right now, and Spinefarm has done so much for us, and I don't regret anything.
Yeah. What was the initial hesitancy with signing? Was it just like you felt you were I don't know, too green or just didn't want to hit the road, or what was it that you were like, well, we're not looking for a label?
I think it was just like we were green, like you put it perfectly. Yeah. We, as much like I went to college for business and music industry studies, which is like a great thing, but not gonna lie, during my classes, like I was mostly doing Deadlands stuff while they were teaching versus like focusing on what they were teaching me. And I picked up a decent amount of knowledge, you know, like I was paying attention as much as I could. And I also was a COVID graduate, so during that time, my attention span took a nice nosedive, but not the greatest. But even so, like I in the band was the one that had the most knowledge about it, and I still did not have enough knowledge. Like absolutely, I didn't. So we were just focusing on getting ourselves to be better and do better before we took the next big step. Because, you know, the first impression on a label is so important to a band. Like, I mean, even off a label, a first impression is just really important to a band in general. And we didn't want to mess it up.
Yeah. I think for a while, my thought was like, I mean, bands can do everything themselves. They don't need labels. And like, I still think there's a degree to that that's true, but it's like, they can help you get into places where you just cannot on your own.
Exactly.
And like, that backing can be helpful. I mean, like, you know, even just the YouTube algorithm, Deadlands shows up because I'm already listening to Spinefarm stuff. So that's how I'm aware of the band.
There
and
you
it's
go.
Just like, it might come to me if it's just on your page, but like it has a much higher chance with the label backing.
Exactly. I mean, just the networking too, in general, the connections that your label has, like your label will most likely, at least if you're on a good label, will push you to radio, which a lot of bands don't really know how to do. You know, what we did organically, like we would do giveaways and say like, tag your favorite radio host, tag your favorite radio station, like to try and get the radio to pay attention to us when we weren't signed. And as much as that did help us to a certain extent, with Spinefarm, our singles have been on Octane every time, which is really like unheard of. At least for me, like I don't know of a band that every single that they've released with their new label has been on the mainstream radio source.
Yeah. I thought radio was dead, but in talking to various Spinefarm artists, and that continues to be a theme, and it's like, I guess that's something that's important that they're still getting out there. So it's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll tell you why, like really briefly, just the age of who uses the radio. Like my father uses the radio. He is 65 years old. And, you know, if he heard some of the new stuff like coming out and he tuned into like Octane or something, he'd really enjoy a lot of it. And when it comes to just regular like radio, talking whatever you put on in your car, 94.3 The Shark is ours. Like there's so many older crowds that listen to it, and it touches a new audience. Like we're targeted more towards people that are like 18 to 30. When you hit a totally different audience that you're not used to, like that's where you blow up. That's where everything, like the flames are fanned for you. You know what I mean?
EP is called 7. What gave you the idea to tackle a concept album as your like initial offering to the world?
Honestly, man, it was just vibes. It was literally just vibes. And it did turn into being introspective. Like at first we were like, oh my God, that's super cool. Like, you know, House of Cards happens to go with Wrath really well. And I feel like everything just lined up to the point where it was like, oh, like, yeah, this is something that we should do. But but then as we really started writing the songs and getting into the nitty-gritty of constructing these things, like I'm such a lyric heavy person, of course, like being a writer, like words have weight to them.
Yeah.
And when writing about the 7 deadly sins, like I was trying to pull like the nastiest parts out of myself and just slap them on paper so that I didn't feel them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and to this day, I'm a very prideful person, but when I was writing Villain, I was like, wow, like looking at everything I'm writing, like this is not far off from what I would say to somebody if they did wrong me, which is not good. Like it's not, I was not being nice in the song. And ultimately, like I tried to take it as an opportunity to look inward and to see how I can better myself as a person. Yeah. And what I really hope people do when listening to these songs is they really figure out like what song sticks to me and why. Is it the lyrics? If it's the lyrics, like why do these lyrics have such a hold on me? Is it because somebody has done this to me and I understand it from an outsider perspective? Or is it because I'm doing this? Is it because I'm the problem and I need to look inward and fix something within myself?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cool way to tackle kind of the idea of the 7 deadly sins without being like, obvious about it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people focus on the religious aspect, and we're just not about that. Like, we're like, whatever, it is what it is, but we're not trying to push any sort of narrative on anybody. Like, we want to draw open a new world for people that can escape this one,
Yeah, as kind of like a counterbalance to the religious side, the artwork for the album is the tarot cards. Who came up with that design and idea?
That was me. That was me. The reason I came up with that was because I love the dark aesthetic. I love the witchy aesthetic. And to juxtapose the religious side of the 7 deadly sins, like you said. And I also just wanted to find a way to put imagery to the sins. Like every tarot card is different, and every sin has their own tarot card, and they're all symbolic of what they are themselves, which I think is really cool. And a lot of people, I hope they'll notice it, but I just have like a crazy attention to detail because I'm insane. But we'll see.
Yeah. Album's out. I mean, we're about a month away from the album being out. June 27th. You guys are hitting the road this summer. Is that the plan, to just try to fill up the rest of this year with touring and try to just build this band and the fan base?
100%. 100%. We are just trying to be boots on the ground, doing everything that we possibly can to get in front of new audiences and meet new people and see our old fans. Like, because everybody's been dying for us to come to where they're at, and we're trying so hard. So we're hoping to get picked up by anybody who will take us, and we're super stoked about it. And we're so excited for the Scene Queen and Girly tour. And I myself and personally am just like, I can't wait. Hannah's been so good to me, like over the past couple of years. I've known her for a couple of years, and I can't wait to meet Girly, and it's gonna be fun. Like the Torkel Pit's gonna be spinning. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, I asked Lauren Babick when she was on the show a similar question. Have you noticed kind of any pushback with people who like your covers and YouTube content as you've kind of moved into more original material? Has there been kind of a push-pull with the people who they just want the cover songs?
Honestly, I would think it's the opposite. Like, we haven't gotten any sort of backlash from me moving into original music because people did know that I always had the intention of doing that. At least I think. Yeah. But some people are like, they'll comment on the covers and be like, more Deadlands right now. And I'm like, hey, you know what's up.